as well, and then at one point maybe even downtown LA. Freeways are jammed right now, especially in South Los Angeles, so he's doing better for himself on surface streets. The Harbor Freeway nearby is just a mess into and out of South LA toward downtown as well. Unclear now. He just made a left turn. We'll try to catch that street for you in just a bit. On top of those CHP cruisers who are right behind this guy, you may have seen just a moment ago, there's an LA County Sheriff's helicopter. He's overhead as well, so it's watching this guy's every move. We'll try to catch that street here in just a bit. He is westbound once again, and he's heading over toward the Harbor Freeway, and he may be rejoining. This is going to be Redondo Beach Boulevard, westbound on Redondo Beach Boulevard. If he continues westbound, what he'll do is go under the Harbor Freeway, and this goes all the way out to the beach, all the way out to the Pacific Ocean, and out toward King Harbor as well. That's going to be a right turn, so that's going to be north, and that might be Figueroa. So just to recap once again, it's a small white Nissan. They've been following this guy since about 5:30. Initially, he was wanted just for speeding. Tried to pull the guy over. He wouldn't comply. And they also said that he tried to hit or got close to hitting a CHP cruiser. So we'll continue following this guy northbound on Figueroa, and he's about a mile south of the 105, just south of the Century Freeway, and just inside, just east of the Harbor Freeway. If he stays with Figueroa, I can see traffic off of the nose. Oddly, it's very light right now, so he'll do better on surface streets as opposed to the freeway. We prefer pursuits to be on the freeways because there's a little more breathing room. You haven't got all this commuter traffic. You haven't got pedestrian traffic. I haven't seen him run any reds just yet or stop signs. But as you can see, he is scooting along at a real good clip. We still don't know how many people are inside the car outside of that driver because the windows are so tinted. There may be other people in there who are working with that suspect. There may be people who are being held against their will, just narrowly missing that guy into the center divider and continuing northbound on Figueroa. We're coming up to El Segundo Boulevard now and just below the 105. I'll throw it back to you in the studio. We'll keep you updated on the progress. We're also going to try to get some information from the LA County Sheriff's helicopter working the area as well and find out more about that suspect. Back to you.
All right, making another turn there. This suspect, westbound now on surface streets in the Carson area. The person behind the wheel of a four-door white Nissan. We believe this started on the 405 northbound. The suspect was wanted, we believe, for speeding. And we can see that the CHP SUV is following pretty closely. It makes you wonder if they're hoping they might have a pit opportunity at some point. Some agencies don't employ the pit, right, Mark? And some do, some don't. I'm trying to remember if the
CHP does. I believe LAPD does. Sheriff's does. Most of the smaller departments do. But there are certain rules about it. They try not to do it when it's a congested area where there could be potentially a lot of people around. He's heading northbound again. Don't know what the street is. We'll get that very soon. This looks like it could be Vermont, actually, from my memory. Northbound now on what appears to be Vermont. Very high rate of speed, as you're seeing. Let's get more from Bill Thomas. Is this Vermont Avenue?
Yeah, this is going to be Vermont Avenue northbound. He's making a lot of twists and turns in and around the area. He was on Figueroa just a couple of minutes ago. Offset, went west for a very short spell, and then picked up Vermont. This is a chase we've been following since about 5:30. I believe it began somewhere in the Long Beach area. We tracked it into Carson, up and down the 405 on the 91, off the 91 at Artesia Boulevard. The 91 terminates at the 110. That turns into Artesia Boulevard. So he found himself in a jam there. He was on Artesia, and then he doubled back, went eastbound on Artesia Freeway, back toward the 91, off of the freeway onto surface streets, and he's doing everything he can to get away. We don't know a lot about that suspect other than he was initially wanted for speed. CHP officers tried to pull that guy over. He wouldn't have anything to do with it. He got close to hitting a CHP officer. According to officers on the ground, there's been no contact. We haven't seen any crashes just yet, but he appears to be doing it about double the posted speed on all these small surface streets in and around South LA and the South Bay, doing all he can to steer clear of the freeway. This may be an area he's familiar with, and that's a pretty common trait we see with pursuit suspects. They generally start at and end up in areas they're very familiar with, areas where they have friends or family, maybe places where they live, places where they work, friends where they areas that they have friends who are nearby, but at this point we can't tell if he's on a cell phone talking to anybody. Those windows are so heavily tinted we can't see inside the car right now, and neither can CHP officers. So as you can see the car there right in the middle of your screen, the windows are up, the windows are heavily tinted, and we'll open up the shop for you just a bit. Not only a problem for us in the helicopter to see what's happening inside, but also a problem for CHP officers. And as you can see, they're keeping a little bit of a berth, and they're trying to stay right on top of that guy, but giving him a little bit of a berth so there's not to fence him in, not to box him in, not to get too offensive, but to remain defensive. Looks like he might try and pick up the 105. This is going to be the westbound side of the 105 from the Harbor Freeway. Let him do this. Westbound 105 from the Harbor. And next stop up ahead is going to be Crenshaw Boulevard, and then after that he may make that trek out toward the 405. Also, looking ahead off the nose of the helicopter, this time of the afternoon, we're seeing generally light speeds on the Century Freeway all the way out to LAX on the 105 westbound. As you can see, he's got plenty of room to maneuver. Traffic is very light, and he might try and exit. He's out the right lane. He might try to exit up ahead at Crenshaw Boulevard. Now, speeds here, average traffic is doing 65, 70. That guy's got to be doing 80, maybe 85 miles per hour. Maybe even faster. Things happen real quick at those speeds, and it looks like he's going to try and use the right shoulder and maybe exit up at Crenshaw Boulevard. I can see the Hawthorne Airport off the nose, using the right shoulder to get by all that traffic. We'll throw it back to the studio and let you know if he gets off the freeway or sticks with the 105 and out to LAX. Back to you.
All right, Bill, as we continue to follow this now from the studio, live pictures from Air 7 HD now on the westbound 105 freeway, a four-door white Nissan. The driver, for whatever reason, evading authorities. We are told that this person was initially wanted for speeding. We believe it started on the 405 freeway northbound in Carson. That suspect, speeding up again, now he got onto the 91 in Gardena, then got off on surface streets in Carson, and now is in the Athens area, now in the carpool lane on the 105 freeway heading westbound with, it looked like at least 3 patrol vehicles following this individual.
Yeah, and you can assume also an airship is in the air. He's in Hawthorne now, and he's approaching LAX. Of course, the 105 freeway is going to end pretty soon here as he gets closer to LAX. He's going to cross past the 405 if he decides not to take it, and then he's going to head to the LAX area and look at the speeds now and the recklessness with which he is changing lanes. He is very lucky that the traffic in this area is light. This is one of the few freeways at this time of day where the traffic is fairly light. That may change as it gets closer to the 405 freeway, which I think should be happening fairly soon. And there could be traffic in either direction if he decides to take that freeway. In the meantime, though, as he keeps going west, it's going to eventually just end. It's going to dump out right near the airport, and he'll end up on surface streets, and that will present a problem with the as far as the airship and perhaps our ship as well that are going to be following, because they'll be in the traffic pattern of LAX, and there may be some delays in terms of being able to cross through if he heads northbound from this freeway. Again, westbound on the 105, initially wanted for speeding. That was the initial interaction with the Highway Patrol. We don't know what else this person is wanted for. Clearly there's something else going on here. It's hard to imagine somebody just trying to avoid a speeding ticket by continuing to speed, but that's what's happening here. Now he's getting off. Let's get more from Bill. Where is he getting off right now?
This will most likely be the Sepulveda Boulevard off-ramp, which would take him northbound and over to under LAX, under the runway complexes, and through LAX and points north. Now he's making a right turn. That's going to be most likely Imperial Highway off of the 105. The Century Freeway was so wide open. We were indicating 105 miles per hour on our airspeed indicator, and we were having trouble keeping up with this guy. He is screaming along. It is a small, white, compact car. Bear with us now. We're dealing with LAX airspace. It gets a little dicey sometimes, but he did pick up a surface street going eastbound now. That is going to be Imperial Highway, and he's crossing under the 405. This is near the 405 and the 105. Eastbound on Imperial, that'll be La Cienega. You see that small white Nissan. Those cars generally have small 4-cylinder engines. That cruiser behind him looks like he might get ready for the pit maneuver, and he may have seen that coming. There is a bit of a pit maneuver. They just stopped him, made that turn. Now he's going to be facing westbound on Imperial Highway. CHP officers, they are out of their car. They've got those guns drawn. They are heavily fortified, well-trained CHP officers. That window might be down. That officer approaching the car, which is pretty rare. They normally stay very defensive, but they appear to be getting very offensive. They may have some non-lethal rounds as well at the ready, taser and other high-powered weapons. So you see the one officer at the door trying to communicate with that driver, trying to get him out of the car. We can see through the windshield. We can see some movement in the car, but it looks like he's not exactly complying just yet. Other officers, they are standing by. They are at the ready. They're surrounding that vehicle. They're checking the back seat, the passenger door. We get the passenger door open. If he doesn't comply with the driver's side CHP officer, they may just yank him out. There may be some damage to that car as well. You saw that CHP officer maneuver and kind of hit the side of the car, so that may have jammed that door. So other officers on the other side, now he's moving just a little bit. If that car continues to move,
they will
they could look at this as an assault with a deadly weapon. but he is out of the car right now. Maybe he was just trying to get out of the car, and the car moved a little bit, but he is out of the car. They are clearing the car right now. We're going to go in tight right now. I think everyone is out of the car. They're going to clear the vehicle. They're going to clear the trunk, and the driver is out of the car, and he's off on the sidewalk right now, surrounded by CHP officers, and they are taking him into custody. The hit didn't appear to be too hard. I can't imagine he's injured, but he is face down. He is in the prone position. They are checking him out right now. The handcuffs are on. Looks like the car is clear. No one else in the vehicle. Suspect sitting up on the sidewalk, communicating with officers. And the only last step involved now, open up that trunk. Make sure there's nothing else in the trunk. No other persons involved. No hostages. Nobody else who was with that suspect when it came to an end. Unfortunately, this has come to an end westbound on Imperial Highway at La Cienega, just a mile away from LAX. Suspect in custody. And for a while longer, open up that shot here. You've got all westbound lanes on Imperial Highway shut down, so if you're trying to head to the airport, the 105 will be the way to go until this investigation all wraps up. As you can see, though, eastbound lanes are open. Live from Air 7 HD, I'm Bill Thomas, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
Well, it's really interesting, Bill, to see how quickly they went up to the car door. And, so often we see standoffs with these situations, and the officers went right up to the door. I wonder if it was out of concern for people who might have been in that car, concern about hostages, because they just didn't know, given the fact that those windows were heavily tinted.
Yeah, exactly. They don't know who else is in the car. They don't know what's going on, but what they want to do is get that suspect in custody. If you just joined us, this is a suspect that CHP officers were chasing up and down the